Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the third race of the season for that of the Stars and Stripes ARCA series. It's season 6 of the Stars and Stripes, and the drivers this season have certainly been having themselves a couple of tests for them of here this season started off. We had Daytona 2 weeks ago, last week at Legacy, Texas, but tonight we're going to a completely different beast of all magnitudes. It's the 2-mile course at Michigan International Speedway to the Irish Hills. The drivers are underway with practice, and we're about to get ready for qualifying in just a few moments. Thank you for joining for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Thursday night. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is Zach Hall. Zach, the drivers heading to Michigan, a pretty big track, but man, what are you expecting to see here tonight?
Well, yeah, it's a pretty big track, no doubt indeed. You know, the 2 miles here at Michigan, it definitely equates to a lot of speed. And that is one thing that you're going to have to carry is momentum through these long corners and down these long straightaways. So I'm interested to see how these guys can figure it out here with the ARCA car because, you know, it's so different than all of the other oval cars that we race. Normally the grip levels are lower, so they're going to have a slower minimum speed in the center of those corners, which I think is going to spice up the racing here at Michigan a little bit and allow for a little bit more passing than you normally see at this track, where a lot of times it's very much a pack race where you're stacked up on top of each other. I think early in the runs we still will see that. You know, there's long straightaways to get those big drafts and be able to pull up to that driver and make passes. But I think as the run goes on, those tires are going to fall off so quickly here. And it's such a long course with such high speeds that the tires are really going to take a huge brunt. I think it's going to be fun to watch and see who can really manage them the best.
Well, the first way you got to figure out how you're going to manage is where you're going to be starting out this race, and that is qualifying for these drivers. Drivers going to have themselves a total of 5 minutes to put down their fastest lap, but the issue is they've only have 2 laps to do so. And Zach, qualifying certainly here at Michigan could be an important factor due to what we were talking about with the tire wear. You might want to be much further up to be able to save those tires properly.
Yeah, I think track position is always a huge key to be able to save those tires properly, like you're saying, Sam. And I think also the big thing you got to factor into is, you know, here at Stars and Stripes, there is no stage racing. This race could go from start of the green flag all the way to the checker flag, and that's not out of the realm at Michigan. This is a track that tends to go green for very long amounts of time. So if you have to start back there in the, you know, outside the top 20, outside that top 10, you have a lot of ground to make up. And if you don't get that caution at some point with an accident, then it's going to be very tough to do that under green flag conditions. So I think qualifying will be critical here right now to see where you can start up front and how well you'll be able to manage those tires with that ability to kind of back your pace up at the beginning of these runs. So we'll see how it works out. But I tell you, it's going to be very, very critical, no doubt indeed.
As we're seeing on screen, the 24 cow bowling, and that's something that you're going to be seeing here on Thursday nights. The drivers running the ARCA cars, but also told the drivers, hey, let's bring back a little bit of the retro. All season long, the drivers were told, hey, let's run 2003 to 2006 schemes, and that's what we're seeing out there tonight as that cow bowling putting down their first lap and going to be topping the board immediately. Already 5 drivers with times in. And what's interesting, you look at the stats at this track. That of the Stars and Stripes has ran here 4 times in their 6 seasons. And so far, there's been a different pole sitter for every single attempt. We'll see if someone else can get their second pole, but based on what I'm seeing through practice, Zach, we might see a new pole sitter on this season as Kyle is looking good for the 24 heading into 3 and 4.
Yeah, he was looking very, very strong there at that first lap, but the second lap is not going to count. He destroyed the wall there in 1 and 2 after getting loose, so he's going to bring that thing down the pit road. Now we're going to look at the 77 of Diego Valle. Yeah, he's into the wall too, so that lap's going to be invalidated. So tough break for him, who, you know, had a tough starting position last week and really worked his way through the field. Was one of the fun drivers to watch. We could be seeing him try to do that again here tonight. Here's the 23 of Kevin O'Keefe. I think he's going to be one to watch out for. Fastest in practice, Sam. So can he back that up here in this qualifying attempt?
And right now on the pole sitter, on top of the pole is going to be that of the 15 of Christopher Wade, as he's finished second here many a times, helping his teammate of Ken Campbell in the past. But Kevin O'Keefe, like you said, fastest during practice, his first lap coming in, hoping to top the board, not looking to do so on that first lap. And for Kevin O'Keefe, he's got to find something a little bit extra for himself when he comes flying through to make sure this first lap is a key. But gotta say, that first entry through 3 and 4 in the exit looks fast. He's riding high, hoping he can maximize that speed, going at that of 189 miles per hour into turn number 3 for himself.
Yeah, that is flying down the back straightaway, no doubt indeed. He's going to be coming out of four here. We'll see what he can produce on the first lap, and we'll see if that is his fastest lap. That's going to be critical here to see. Is it's going to be a 39, a 49. So he's going to only be 15th with that. And we'll see if that was a throwaway lap to him because he ran a 39.16 in practice. But you do have to account a little bit for draft. You know, that could have been within the distance of a toe of someone up ahead of you that was breaking the air and really helping that car get a lot less drag. So we'll see if the second lap is his ability to pick up here. But Thomas Ogle right there in the last few moments, he's gone to second on the board. So a lot of new drivers there popping up on the list, but definitely a strong field here with this qualifying order.
The number 15, Christopher Wade, his fastest lap was on his second time. Kevin O'Keefe, he's hoping to be the fastest here. Kevin O'Keefe got the pole at Daytona, and will he get the pole here at that of Michigan? And the time comes in. It is not fast enough. It is a slower time on that second lap. 16th on the board for the 23. Here comes the 10 across the line. Last lap for that of Joshua Robinson, who was very strong at this course last season, but it'll be 5th for that of qualifying for himself.
Yeah, great there lap for Joshua, who I think, is coming off of last week. I think he wants to improve where he ran. He was such a strong contender last season. I mean, just so fast at so many areas. But I think this ARCA car maybe kind of threw him for a little bit of a loop, and now he's trying to get, it all figured out. And I think he'll be one to watch out for as we head through the rest of the season.
Well, qualifying is ticking down, and it is now officially done. Drivers have put in their 5 minutes, and now it's time to see where those results are for qualifying as we get ourselves ready for 100 laps here tonight at Michigan. These drivers will have no fast repair, only 3 sets of tires in pit road to work with. As we take a look at these results, as big thanks to Game to Give from that of the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, as your pole sitter goes to that of Christopher Wade in the 15. Thomas Ogle is going to be taking second to start out here tonight. And row number 2, starting in third, it's Dylan Grimm and Trey Jackson. Row number 3 is going to be that of the 5 in 5th place for the 10 machine of Joshua Robinson, with the 5 of Andrew Hess to his outside. 7's going to be Scott Rickard, winner from last week, with that of Ross Tatum in 8th place. Ross Tatum very fast here last season when he was trying to go for a championship. And then in 9th, it's that of Derek Offerman. And as well in 10th place, it's going to be Dylan Glass.
The Ford machine of Patrick Hasty is going to bring it here in the 11th position. 12th is going to go to Kyle Bowling. Andrew Medlin in the 18th is going to start in 13th, with 14th going to the 48 of Brian Scalise. Jason Gratton in the 8 machine, he's going to be 15th, with 16th going to Timmy McNally. Kevin O'Keefe there, we saw him run a similar time there back-to-back. Going to be starting 17th. 18th is going to go to Nate Lynch, with 19th being Will Bustler, and rounding out our top 20 is George Kopacik.
Then it's going to be in 21st is Doug Pierce. And then in 22nd, it's Zach Kreitz. And then in 23rd, it's going to be that of Diego Valle, going to be finding that 77. Was very aggressive last week at Texas. How aggressive will he be going through the field? Ryan Chu going to be in 24th with Brian Lynch in 25th, with Ed Perry back in 26th. And the last 2 contenders going to be Aaron Hale as well as Brandon Messick, which Messick's been having internet connection issues, and that was the reason for him missing out on qualifying. After Messick getting the pole last week, he's going to have a complete opposite storyline coming into this week, Zach. But drivers rolling off and getting ready here at Michigan.
Yeah, they are rolling off here at pit road here at the Irish Spring Hills. And that 15 of Christopher Wade, I mean, he's definitely a driver that's good at these larger tracks, in my opinion. This kind of suits his style of racing. So with him starting up front, it's going to be strong. Also, Thomas Ogle, I mean, we saw him at Texas. He was one of the best long-run cars. I think he's going to be one to watch out for, no doubt indeed, here to start this race off early.
One of the drivers to watch out for sure for themselves. But a driver, I want to get their thoughts on it, is going to be watching out for that of 11th place starter, as that is going to be where we find that of Patrick Hastings. Hastings won this race back in season 1. We'll see how the Ford machine is going to roll off here. Patrick, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth trying to get your thoughts. How are you feeling, man?
Am I on? Y'all actually picked me on here tonight?
We actually picked you here tonight. You won this race back in season 1. I know you're starting in the middle of the pack, but how are you feeling getting ready to start out here tonight?
I really like Michigan. Back then, we didn't have some of these aliens in the league, but I feel good. I'm excited to race with my team tonight. You guys do a great job on the coverage, and I think I could have a solid top 10, top 15. That'd be good for me, so I'll take that.
Well, we're hoping for the best for you, Patrick. We'll let you get back to your team, and good luck tonight.
Yeah, thank you guys. See y'all later.
As that is going to be the 4 machine of Patrick Hastings. We got to get him back into his team as fast as possible because we're getting ready for Green Flag Racing, as that of the FR Graphics and Design 200 here at Michigan is green, with that of the 15 rolling down into turn number 1.
Yeah, just like that, Christopher Wade would get a decent start. Not the greatest I think he would have won up there, but you got to go in green on that initial start, so you can't really judge too much to get that huge jump. But look at this, off the 2 here, it's going to be Dylan Grimm in the 17. He's looking to the inside, but I think down the back straightaway he's going to lose out as that draft line up top is going to form, and he may even fall back to 3rd or possibly even 4th.
Well, it looks like he might get a little bit of assistance as some drivers recognizing, hey, that 17's down there, might get a tow to work for themselves, but it's Christopher Wade, the 15 machine, who won back at Daytona, trying to lead lap number 1, and Zach touched on it. This driver has found himself in 2nd place at this track before. Now he's no longer has that teammate of Ken Campbell Racing here at the Stars and Stripes Series. And now the 15 could be out there to go strive for his first win here at Michigan.
Yeah, I tell you, he's going to be one to watch out for. He was very strong at Texas, first of all. I mean, was very, very good, was challenging with Scott Rickard for majority of that race in the 15 machine. But, you know, it just didn't work out in his favor there, as that incident really hurt his chances late in that race that was involving a few other drivers. So we'll see if he can rebound from that. But, man, I tell you, Chris Wade, like you said, Sam, he is very, very talented at these style tracks. So right now already looking to do some snaking back and forth, which trying to break that draft, going low, going high, doing anything possible to lose that speed to that driver behind.
Already starting to see a couple of pods of drivers breaking away from one another, some still side by side, as we're seeing here on screen. Our winner from last week, Scott Rickard, getting a great picture of the side-by-side action in front of him, as that's 7th, 6th, 5th, and 4th, all on top of one another. But man, this is going to be one of those factors where you have to figure out how aggressive do you truly want to be, and aggression is billowing up for the lead as Thomas Ogle thought about trying to make a pass for that lead position, not able to do so. But you look back here, talk about classic schemes. Well, schemes that once were teammates, and it's going to be Derek Offerman and as well that of Andrew Medlin riding around one another.
Yeah, this is cool to see that 20 and that 18 right here to start off this race right together. But look, not too close. There's the 77, Diego Valle. He started 23rd. He's already up to 13th. He's continuing that trend of just going forward very quickly in these races after a poor qualifying position. He said he had a lot of confidence after last week, seeing what he could do. Let's see if he can continue it here, as we got the 8 machine of Jason Gratton trying to go forward also.
Jason Gratton, it might be one of those times where you want to just follow someone in front of you. Settle in. Try your best to not make too big of an aggressive move. But talking about aggression, we got a couple of drivers that are just settling in. This is where we find Kevin O'Keefe, who we were kind of expecting some big qualifying numbers from his 23, qualified back in 17th place, and now staying in 18th. He's not been able to move forward at all, and I'm curious, Zach, this is just a strategy call, as he's got to be careful with the one of Nate Lynch to his outside.
Yeah, Nate was looking a little bit wobbly there on the exit. Same for Jason Gratton. And look at this. He says he's going to take advantage of it. He's thought 3 wide, but Kevin O'Keefe knows it might be a little too early for that type of move there, as Nate Lynch having a little bit of connection issues. It looks like Keefe will get that pass done here coming off of turn number 4. But yeah, I think he is right now, he's doing a little bit different than he did at Texas. You know, he qualified near the front at Texas, but really had to, did a lot of charging. And when he did that, it really did seem to hurt him on the longer runs. I think Kevin O'Keefe here taking a little bit of a different strategy here by starting in the middle of the field. He's going to really try to make his pace work long for the whole run.
And right now, with that of the 23, running the lane that he is, Zach, and it seems like he's still trying to pressure and allow that of Jason Gratton to go forward. I'm curious if maybe it would be a better solution to save his tires just to sit and stay behind this 12, but it looks like finally Jason Gratton gets back into the throttle soon through the center of the corner, and take it back. They're on the move now.
Yeah, that they are. Jason Gratton got 2 of them in one corner. He got that 20 and that 12, both McNally and Offerman. So looks like Kevin O'Keefe's going to try to do something similar here, heading down to 1. Then you also have the 1 and 8 Lynch trying to follow him through. So yeah, drivers on the move right there. And Michigan's always an interesting track with the line. That preferred groove is really the second, even to third lane through both corners. But if you can make that very bottom lane work and make passes, you'll be strong all night when it comes to catching people and be able to make a quick, swift pass.
Well, Michigan, we gotta move our cameras up to the lead because we are now at those swing laps when it's usually when we talk about 10 laps, 10 to 15, when you start to see the tire wear degradation showing at a track that's 2 miles in length. It's a lot shorter when you start to see those tire wear shifts when drivers are attack mode and those that are in a little bit more of a passive mode. We're starting to see our top 5 all on top of one another.
That they are. Top 5 is really battling it out, and you got Joshua Robinson not too far behind as the top 6 is really broken away to about 2-second gap to those cars from 7th on back. So this group here battling hard, and interesting call here too because Andrew Hess, we seen him, he qualified so well at Texas last week and just dropped like a rock at the beginning, just trying to save his stuff. I think he figured out that he doesn't need to save as much as he possibly did, and here tonight he's looking to go forward and make spots as he's looking for that 3rd position here on Trey Jackson.
Trey Jackson still trying to just hold strong on the outside lane, but he's going extremely high, just trying to give each other as much space as possible, making sure that we don't cause any calamity as Christopher Wade still has led every lap here tonight, and it'll be seeing how that 15 can just stay in center. But man, this battling, see the 5 of Andrew Hess, kind of similar to what we were seeing in that middle of the pack, that inside lane. It's where you want to be, but the exit speed is where we're seeing some of the struggle as Hess tries to hold on. And also that outside wall is starting to sneak up more and more each lap here, Zach. And we saw it during qualifying when drivers were trying to push these vehicles to the max, but now 10 laps into this race, that outside wall is sneaking up just a little bit more than I think they might have been expecting.
I think you're exactly right, Sam, and you do not. That is the number one thing here at Michigan is you do not want to get into the wall. That is just going to ruin your night right straight off the bat. I mean, no fast repairs, first of all, here at Stars and Stripes, so you can't get that car immediately fixed if you come to the pit road. If you do get that damage, and any little bit of damage on the right side of these cars, left side, anywhere really, if you cause a good bit of drag by that damage, opening up these fenders and hurting the flare on them, you can really be slow on the straightaways. And with how long the straightaways are, that is a critical factor to making passes and being able to hold people back. And right there, Dylan Glass making a really good pass, it looks like, here on Andrew Hess, but I don't think that bomb's going to work there as they slide up off of 2.
Trying to find any equaling of speed, and right now struggling is that 29 when you go to the inside lane. Just too much power of the draft on these straightaways as everyone starts to single file out, and attempting to try to make a pass again is the battle for the lead. Thomas Ogle just has found no way to figure out how to get by that of Christopher Wade. He's gotten a nose ahead, but man, it just seems like you have to get a good exit out of the corner and then hope someone follows you behind. As you see there, Hess had a great exit. He's staying side by side, but he's got to be aggressive in the entry of this corner, which could use up more tires, but a great slide job move by the 5.
Yeah, you got to get it done on entry. Like you were saying, Sam, it's just so tough to pass. Thomas Ogle's tried everything in his power on the bottom to make the pass on Wade, but that top side just has the momentum on the exits of these corners. It holds you down near towards the bottom, and it just makes passing that much more tough. But right now, Ogle in that 31 almost clearing up here for the lead. But just again, the outside line just proven to be too strong as this group behind him is looking to try to close in while they battle for the lead up front.
Trying to find different ways to assist, and Andrew Hess is going to be one of those. The 5 ducked down low, trying to give a little bit of help, and this is one of the first chances that I've seen Ogle in the last about 5 laps trying to go for the lead. He sticks out by a nose, but it's just not close enough. As we ride on board the 5, honestly, Andrew Hess could be in an opportune time to go 3 wide here.
Yeah, he could be in that opportune time, but I think he's electing to try to pass or push this 31 machine forward. But just like that, Christopher Wade just drives it into 3 and 4 and just clears the 31. I think you're really just going to have to set someone up either to get to the outside quarter panel to go around them on the right, or you're going to do what Andrew Hess did. You're going to have to almost be a nose ahead, almost full car or half a car ahead, entering turn 1, and then try to slide up in front of them and do that slide job. Because when you have to hold that bottom exit, it just seems like the speed just deteriorates so fast.
As you're seeing the 5, you're just further back, trying to reset. How do you maximize your speed here? Everyone's single filing out as we are 14 laps in. Again, there are no stage breaks. These drivers could go coast to coast from the start of the race to the end without a yellow flag coming out. And these drivers have to think about strategy at this point. When do you want to come in for tires, fuel? And right now, seeing that 32 Tide machine, that Scott Rickard winner from last week at Legacy, Texas, trying to set up how does he want to move forward? Really hasn't made too many passes as he has just stayed where he qualified. It's not the worst place since you can stay attached this lead pack.
Yeah, I think he's going to be one to watch out for as the run goes on. I mean, we saw at Texas, he was lights out. I mean, he was good in the short run also, but his long run speed was where he was really looking very, very strong once he got out front. So we'll see if he can continue his march forward. But there's Kyle Bowling in the 24. He's trying to make that pass on Jason Gratton as you got the 24 and the 8 machine battling here off of turn number 4. And you also have Kevin O'Keefe in the background trying to loom forward. He's also got the 48 of Brian Scalise. So a lot of famous cars right there in one shot.
Yeah, I mean, it's also great to see these old schemes being ran by these drivers, trying to just bring back a little bit of fresh air of the retro schemes that call it the heyday when NASCAR was at its peak of popularity. And getting to see these schemes that I grew up watching and love seeing the flashbacks for ourselves as some other drivers that are further on back. This back half of the field all have been losing touch to our leaders, and they are certainly starting to struggle at where they're going to be. But Ed Perry kind of leading the charge back here in last place for the last half of the pack. Ed Perry, you see that of George Kovacic, also Doug Pierce, and the driver we interviewed under our pacing before we got ourselves a green flag racing, the 4 of Patrick Hastings, had a little bit of internet issues. He fell all the way back to last place. He's trying to do a small recovery up to 25th, but that is not the way that 4 machine was hoping this race was going to go.
Yeah, tough ordeal there for him. As you look back to the 9, Zach Kreitz, he's here in the 26th position at the moment. Fell back a few spots from that 22nd starting spot. And you also have the 22 of Brian Lynch. He's back 2 from his 25th starting position. Then right to the last car of this field, about 10 seconds off our leader, is the 40 of Aaron Hell. So crazy stuff to see here that our field is this close together, really all of them within 10 seconds here, within almost 20 laps of this race. But the racing up front, it still continued to be the same. Ogle constantly going to the inside of the 15, just never being able to clear this 15 machine.
It was that of our top 5 within a half a second of one another. Well, now it's our top 8 within a second of everyone. And this whole entire lead pack, it is 11 drivers in total. They're all in line. Thomas Ogle has been trying the last couple of laps, still has not been able to pass that of Christopher Wade. But a driver that has been on the move. We touched on him being one of our biggest movers in the 10th position, the 77 of Diego Valle. He isn't attached to this lead pack, Zach, and I'm looking at his times. He is still one of the fastest cars on track.
That is so impressive to see with how much ground he was making up at the beginning of the run. You know, a lot of times we'll see those numbers climb when it comes to those drivers climbing up through the field. There's a few drivers that always seem to do it. They can not have a good qualifying position, but they gain, 10, 15 positions in the matter of really 10 to 15 laps at the start of these races. But a lot of times they suffer from it. I will say Diego Valle, like you said, his lap times, he is not suffering from it one bit at all, as he is really latched onto this lead pack of about 11 cars here, and he's going to be trying to go forward. But I think at the moment now, Thomas Ogle might have his best chance up front to finally make a pass in the 31, as I think he finally will clear that 15 for the lead.
And it was a complete group effort to get him into this position, trying to slide up. Here comes Christopher Wade fighting back on the outside lane. He said that was a good opportunity. You had the lead, but here comes the draft on the backstretch. Everyone assisting Thomas Ogle right there. But Zach, I think that might have been the last time anyone's going to help that 31. Was not able to confirm that pass, and now everyone's going to try to rip the top to get by him.
Yeah, he drove it in the deep, so deep in the 1 that he almost lost the front end, but now almost losing the rear end in the middle of 3 and 4 there on that seam. And those seams can have a huge effect on the handling of the car. Right now, he's in no man's land on that bottom as everybody stacking up on the outer groove. Now it's going to be Andrew Hess to see his heat challenge forward, or either Joshua Robinson. He's also in that 10 machine after what he performed like last season. I think he wants to come back out here and have a much better performance than he had at Texas, because he showed so much speed in the next-gen car. I think it's just going to take a little bit of time before he has the same speed as Ogle. Almost jumps up in front of Scott Ricker. He decides better, but the caution's out.
It's going to be all the way in the back. It's the 9 of Zach Kreitz sideways and finally able to get rolling. But you can see those markings on the track. He was sliding for quite a while as that was battling for the back half of the field. And Zach, I mean, the field, we're just about to touch on it. We're coming up to the quarter way of this race. Tires are starting to show a little bit of wear. We were seeing that lead, and it looks to be a huge checkup there. The 4 gets loose. The 9 has to check up, and George Kovacic not aware of that situation, gets the 9, spun around, and away they go.
Yeah, and multiple drivers are collecting that. Aaron Hell there, kind of taking the biggest brunt of it. Somehow that front end looks actually somewhat decent, but that hit to the outside wall there, that broke the suspension on Zach Kreit's car, and he is going to have a major amount of time in the pit road getting that all fixed up. But yeah, I think it's the tire where it's kicking in. You know, the 4, they're trying to make the pass on the bottom of Patrick Hasty. He slides up the racetrack into the 42, having to lift, and it just causes a huge checkup from here where the 9 checks up. And the 66 of George Kovacic just doesn't get the memo quick enough. And it's just a chain reaction event here in 1 and 2.
Trying to hold on the best of the can. Hey, hard hit by the 40, then launches the 9 back up in the outside wall. And it's that contact that broke the 9 and gave him that required damage flag, as drivers now heading into pit road to get service done for themselves. And everybody coming in so far. We'll see if anyone in the back half of the field wants to come in. They won't. I was curious if anyone was going to decide to stay out, get a lap led, especially if you're someone deep in the field. That could have been your opportunity to get a bonus point if you decided to stay out.
Yeah, I think if you're deep in the field, why not come out here and lead a lap and then come back down the next time? You definitely wouldn't want to stay out for the majority of the time, but I think you were right, Sam, that someone could have used the opportunity to get a lap led, but doesn't look like they're going to play it that way. So we'll see who wins the race off pit road. Looks like Wade will be able to do that. Is Joshua Robinson. They're going to come off in second with Andrew Hess in third. So a good little run off of pit road there. Now they're going to have fresh tires, and they're going to have that first 20-lap run there under their belt to really judge how they want to drive these cars for later in this run.
This is 23 laps in. It gives us time with the first caution to talk about some of our sponsors here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You see them blinking at the top left. That is iRacing iFlag. iRacing iFlag has their patented iFlag virtual flag system, giving you clear states of if there's cautions, if it were green, any state that we are on the track, it will be blinking a color towards you. And also, fun note, they also have at iRacing iFlag, if you've got 2 flag systems with you, you also can use that as a spotter to let you know who's on your left or who's on your right, or if you're clear. So go on, head over to iRacing iFlag. They've got plenty of other great products to help you become the best driver that you can be on any simulator that you're racing on. And go use our promo code FreakyFast2022 today when purchasing, as drivers getting set up and ready to go. Well, we are not stacking up just yet, but Zach, I know there's another product that we have working with us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting that certainly could help admins today.
That they can, man. If you want to be able to have race control at your fingertips, you need to go to adminbox.com, folks, as it's got one of the best products out there for sim racing that not only gives you the driver functionality that most button boxes do, this button box gives you the admin functionality also, where you can control the race from the driver's seat, not just from the air. So it's a great product that I even use myself. Make sure you go check them out and use that discount code you see on screen, FFB/BOXX, to get a discount at purchase to have one of the best sim racing products you can add to your lineup.
As drivers stacked up, it's going to be Christopher Wade, Joshua Robinson, Andrew Hess, Dylan Glass, Dylan Grimm, as well as Thomas Ogle is going to be dropping all the way down to 6th place, with Scott Rickard, Diego Valle, Andrew Medlin, and Trey Jackson going to be your top 10. As still in pit road is Zach Kreitz dealing with that required damage flag. No other driver really spent a lot of time at a pit road getting repairs done. So I'm excited to see how some of these drivers can make their moves. Biggest movers so far, Diego Valle up 15 positions. Biggest losers so far, it's going to be Derek Offerman as well as Patrick Hastings, both down 11 positions. Now on this restart, the question still is going to loom. Who can get past Christopher Wade, who has been leading, dominating? The fresh air has been so nice. The draft has been there. But when will the field turn on the 15? Let's find out as a quarter of the race is done. And we're starting that of the FR Graphics and Design 200 here at Michigan. And that of Christopher Wade already going to have 2 car lengths ahead of the rest of the field.
Yeah, such a difference from the first restart where you had to go in green. He has control of that restart, and he shoots out like a cannon. So he'll be able to have a good little gap here, but off of 2 is where he's got to watch out. These guys have a huge run. Andrew Hess coming with a head of steam. Also, Joshua Robinson. This may be their chance here to work together and get by that 15.
They go down low, going to be drafting by the 15, and that was question mark, did that of Andrew, the guy of Christopher Wade make too big of a gap? And it seems to be true with the 5, going to be drifting up, questioning who could pass the 15. Well, it didn't even take one lap. Andrew Hess going to lead the lap 25 here.
That he did. What a pass done by him. He really drove it in the 3, and he made it stick. That's the key word, because if he would have drove in the 3 and washed up the racetrack, the 15 would have got right back to the quarter panel or even crossed them over. So great job by Andrew Hess. That's the second time tonight I've seen him make a very strong power move like that and make it stick. So great job to him. He's going to have the early lead here in this run. But Robinson, he's going to be one to watch out for. He was coming forward, but also you got to remember Diego Valle. He's now the 7th in the 77, having some track position with this restart.
And Diego Valle, looking at the best lap times that have been put in all race long, he doesn't even have that fastest lap. It's been the consistency for the 77 on why he has climbed through the field. We'll see if he can climb even further up with fresh rubber underneath him. But drivers that are side by side, deeper in the field. This is around the bubble spot of drivers at that 11th, 12th position, where Trey Jackson, Kevin O'Keefe, side by side, figuring out who could be challenging Grattan for that 10th place position.
Yeah, and I believe Trey Jackson must have had some type of problem on that pit stop there. He lost a good bit of track position where he was up in that top 5 right before the pits. But right now, trying to hold on to this position as Kevin O'Keefe is going to look to that inside and also going to have that 21 of Ross Tatum. He ran so good. You brought it up earlier tonight, Sam. He ran so good here at Michigan in that championship race last season. Just missed out with pit stops, and now he's going to try to redeem himself here tonight after a good run at Texas last week.
And as well, behind him, going to be that of Brian Scalise. Scalise, one of the faster drivers from practice. His 48 machine stuck in the basically dead center of the field. You did not get the qualifying time that he wanted, but how will that driver be able to assist himself? And then we bounce, even further up, taking a look at 8th place, Andrew Medlin, a driver that has ran well at this course before. He's actually won this track back at season 2, but they were running the trucks back in that time, and as well led the most laps. This 18 knows how to get it done, but it's going to be a tough toll and a tough story for him to try to get up and battling with some of those top contenders right now.
Yeah, he's still got a good little ways to climb, but done a great job so far to make up some of that ground. And, this is a track personally where it runs pretty similar to all the other oval-style cars, especially this ARCA car. When I compare it to a truck, they run pretty similar. The draft a lot more dependent, I feel like, in that truck, but still, any car you bring here with that long of straightaways and this high speed corners, the draft is going to be super, super dependent. So they're definitely relying on that to pull them forward and make some passes at some moments, but it's not always there for your taking. As Scalise back in the background, they're trying to still battle with that 48 machine with the 25 of Trey Jackson down in the 1. I think that 48 trying to move himself forward, like you said, one of the faster cars in practice.
The fastest cars during the practice, and didn't make that pass. You saw there the camera was panning through as currently on screen, Dylan Graham. Graham, also another driver that has performed well at this track previously last season. It's back in that of the Gen 7 Cup car, but that 17 did get the pole for that race. He certainly knows how to get the fast laps in, but it's Graham that I feel like it's more of strategy where we need to see the 17 perform better at the end of races. He can be strong in the short runs, but how well can he be on the long run? It's been one of the struggling points. He burns off way too much of these tires. How much is he going to learn on this go? As Dylan Glass, he is up in 4th place for the 29 with Thomas Ogle, who was challenging, battling for second place, trying to take that lead position. Now just has to sit and relax and hope that he doesn't get passed by Diego Valle, and also trying to work with this 29 not to lose our top 3.
Yeah, I think Thomas, one of the fastest cars on the long run last week at Texas after his work there. I think he's, this first run he went out there, used a little bit of tire, was trying to make those passes sliding up the racetrack and just could never make them stick on the bottom. I think maybe this time feeling like he can just stay in this group here and not let that front 3 get away too far, then he should be in a good position. But Diego Valle just continuing what he does. He goes to the inside there, and he's going to look to make the pass. But look how close the action is. Loose on the bottom. He holds on to it off of 2 as Ogle's going to have the big run.
And Ogle going to be trying to make this draft and the push that he's getting right now. Not able to close in to make that pass position, but at least working with one another at this point. Try not to just lose too much time. And I think I'm curious. We saw that, a pack of 6 on that first stint, the first 15 laps. They really did pull away the top 6 from the rest of the field. But then the field caught back up pretty quickly when we got into that 20 to 25 lap run instant. Now the question is, where will the field be once we get in the later run? Like you said, Zach, that was a lot of knowledge that drivers were picking up before that caution came out and then coming into pit road. How much of that knowledge is going to be useful here, as Andrew Hatt still leading the way, the middle pack of the field, all still single filing out on how they want to charge here.
Yeah, it's looking to be kind of tough to pass, and what I'm seeing is there's not a crazy amount of drop off in the center of the corner. These guys are going, in the upper 180s, but they're only dropping down early in these runs to about 172, 175. That makes it tougher to pass. Whenever that speed differential between the center of the corner and the straightaway is not as much, it makes it much more of a momentum-based style racing. And when it's momentum-based style racing, that draft is always going to play a much bigger factor into the race. And I think that's what's making it tough. That outside groove has just got the momentum. It's got the draft down the straights. It's just a positive thing to be up there. And when you get that run on somebody, you duck to the inside, you better hope there's not someone else there to take that spot from you, because you can be a sitting duck on the exit.
And speaking of being a sitting duck on the exit, well, here we go. It's going to be Dylan Glass struggling there on the exit. Had to let off just slightly, and it gave the perfect opening for Thomas Ogle. Diego Valle was looking to help the 31, but decided halfway through he was going to work with the 29. And it actually is going to help Thomas Ogle, but here comes Diego, the 77, putting the pressure on the exit of the corner.
Yeah, great move by him there. He backed up the entry of the corner while the 29 had to check up for that 31, sliding up in front of him, pulling off that move. Now Diego Valle going to have the bottom here entering 3. Can he make it work, or can Glass get the run off the corner? Valle just a nose ahead, but I think the run actually still continuing to go to the 77. He's going to cut down the corner here in the front straightaway trioval to shorten that distance and try to be as far ahead here when they enter 1, because if he can be far enough ahead, he should be able to clear and make this pass and look like, just like that, he does, up to 5th position for Diego Valle.
Well, it's just up in front of the 29. 29 has to check up, and that's going to assist on the pass for the 77. But because of seeing Glass being passed by 2 different drivers, it's allowed this group behind these 3, led by that of Dylan Grimm, Andrew Medlin. They are closing in quickly, which is going to make this pack bigger. Now the question is, will it make the pack faster, as their top 3 now over a second ahead of this group that we see on screen?
Yeah, they've grouped up and left these guys kind of in the dust here, as Scott Ricker, Kevin O'Keefe battle in his last week's winner is just slightly dropping back on this run. Kind of surprised from that from Scott. He looked very, very strong in that first portion of this race, but this second run maybe just saving a little more than what he thinks he should, and now dropping back into the clutches of the back of this pack here, as Ross Tatum directly behind him in the 21, as Kevin O'Keefe now broken to the top 10. Let's see if he can continue his trend forward, as he's got Jason Gratton in that 8 machine directly ahead.
Yeah, I mean, these two have just tandemed up, and they are on the move together. Wherever the 8 go, the 23 follows, and once again, doing the same exact thing, and everyone kind of just following it soon. It seems like when you see another driver commit to going down low, everyone else behind says, all right, we'll work with you, we'll all follow, we'll utilize the draft, and try to pull along together to make each pass as one.
Yeah, it really helps when you do that. A lot of drivers are going to stay up high. They're going to like to say, yeah, they'll kind of bait you sometimes, even where they'll look like they're going to help you low. And then as soon as they get a chance to go to your outside, they'll get to that outside quarter pound knowing it's just that easier pass to make. But yeah, the headway is trying to be made on the bottom, but Andrew Medlin there with a good run off of 4. Looking to hold tight here with the 8 machine of Jason Gratton, but Gratton with a good enough run. I just don't think he'll be able to hold on to the inside here, as it's going to be a good bit ahead there for Andrew Medlin. But like you said, Kevin O'Keefe coming to help, but look like that Scott Rickard, he gets to his outside quarter panel just to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I mean, right when you talked about the fact of, someone could just bait you out and, try to follow and then go high. That's exactly what Scott Rickard just did. He was working with Gratton and O'Keefe, and then said, you know what, maybe the outside lane's the better place to be, as O'Keefe throws it down, almost making contact with the 8. Both have to give space, and Scott Rickard says, well, if you're going to be bickering like this, I'll take both of your positions.
That was intense. Kevin O'Keefe there trying everything and every little bit of grip he had there to make the pass. Couldn't clear, and luckily for him, Jason Gratton kind of gave room there for him to slide up the racetrack and lift it. So That could have been a big incident between those two. But, oh, look at Scott Rickard. He's down low there on that seam, and that seam just broke that car loose. He's trying to hold onto it now off the exit of 2, but it's going to be Ross Tatum to the outside of him in the 21 machine. So big movement happening between these 4.
Tatum, who's been trying to figure out how to save his tires on this go. Big scare for him, as luckily didn't lose too much momentum, able to bounce to the outside, get that Grattan draft, and now able to stay side by side with that 32 machine. And Scott Rickard, no help, no assistance. He's got to hope that someone's willing to work with him, as he saw one driver deck down low. That was going to be the 6 of Will Bustler. We haven't really talked about Will at all here tonight. He hasn't been up front in our top 15. At 6, I'm curious on how well he's going to be doing here tonight, because this race, think about, some tracks similar to Michigan. Will Bustler has had some pretty historic races here. I think back to our Tuesday night league that we covered here at Freaking Fast Broadcasting. Will Bustler was kind of the Cinderella story at Michigan. Wasn't able to get the win, but had a strong third-place finish. That was back when they were running the Xfinity car on a Tuesday night. Arctic machine, very different, but this 6, I'm kind of surprised that he's not running as far ahead as I was expecting.
Yeah, I tell you, this car is a lot different. That Xfinity car definitely still somewhat momentum based when it comes to Michigan, but this car is a completely different beast. I think a lot of drivers are still figuring out what they can do, how they can push them, and just how to push the buttons the right way to make it happen. So yeah, it's tough when you're still learning, but I think Will Bustler, as the season goes on, will get better and better, because he always seems to have good long-run speed, and that's one thing I think you need to possess in this ARCA car, is the ability when those tires wear out to make passes. But whoo, super close between those two there, as he almost slides up into Scalise. He goes up the racetrack, and right now it looks like Nate Lynch is going to try to take advantage of that loss some momentum from the 6 machine.
Trying to figure out, okay, momentum is lost, but where do I place myself to make this advancement and make the pass and not waste this opportunity? And it looks like the outside lane opened up, but for the 1, just not feeling aggressive enough, trying to push. Will Bustler gets too aggressive, gonna be sliding up, and here comes Lynch to the inside. The 1, great move, no help behind. He's gonna lose that draft.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Sam. You're going to lose the draft out here, and you're not going to be able to make that move happen. The great run can work, and it's so disheartening when you're a driver trying to make that great move, and you get the good run off the exit of the corner, and you just see it stall out as soon as you get on the straightaway due to that draft being up near the wall. It just makes it that much easier for the outside line to keep position on you, with the drivers ahead really breaking the air for them and allowing that car to travel faster on the straightaways. So it's just one of those factors at Michigan. It seems like that also at places like Auto Club. It's just when you have these 2-mile speedways like this, the speed being carried is just so immense that the draft is such a big help. So drivers are learning that, I think, quickly here, that passing on the bottom is at a premium, and it's tough to do. You're going to have to find a hole to get through, but we're having some movement even happen up front too. I tell you, Thomas Ogle's starting to, he's moved up to 3rd. Diego Valle up to 4th, and Dylan Glass now even got past Christopher Wade, as Wade is starting to struggle and fall back into the clutches of this group.
Yeah, the battle for the top 5 really has pushed out the 15 out of the way, and it's kind of given me, you think of great sports teams, great sport athletes, you run so well, you play so well, then the rest of the world kind of fights back and tries to go against you, and that's kind of what just happened for the 15. He was so strong in that first stint, leading, defending. Well, now that he doesn't have the fresh air anymore, his 15 no longer getting any help from anybody. He's going to need some teammates to back up this 15, and the worst thing is those teammates are nowhere closer. The closest driver to help out Christopher Wade would be that of the 8 of Jason Bratton, and Bratton is just out of 4 positions back. So if the 8 and the 15 can get attached, maybe they can start marching forward. But at this moment, that of Christopher Wade, he is going backwards.
Yeah, it's just not working out for him, man. It's just this run is not clicked. Some sets of tires sometimes are just tough as up ahead of him. Ogle almost into the wall. That gives Valle the run down the back straightaway. He's going to try to clear going off into 3 here for that 3rd position. And I can confirm Diego Valle making the pass there, strong for him up to the 3rd position. As we talked to Clean Air, Andrew Hess, he's just checked out, isn't it?
Yeah, Andrew Hess is checked out, and the big thing for Hess is he's trying to build up a big enough gap that he will not be getting any draft assistance sitting behind him, as Diego still trying to get by that Thomas Ogle. He's down 77th on the outside lane. He should be getting this massive run and the draft help from the 10 of Joshua Robinson, and just like that, pass is made. And now it's time to see how can Diego start to make this push forward to catch up to our top two that are pretty equally distant, spaced out between everyone in the field.
Yeah, this is impressive, man. He just continues to show out in the races. It's been tough qualifying sessions for Diego, but the races have been his place to make the moves. And right behind him, Dylan Glass now, he's trying to make some moves here. He's trying to go past Thomas Ogle. You also got the 17 and Grimm there coming on the back bumper, or come to the inside of the 15 there of Wade. Also with Andrew Medlin.
Trouble on the front stretch. The 88 of that of Brandon Messick gets spun around off the bumper of that of Ed Perry. Down on the inside wall. We're going to stay green for now as that's off the racing surface, but trouble in the back half of the field.
Oh, man, that is so tough for Messick. As always, spins it now, trying to get it back going, and they're sitting in the middle of the track. We'll see if he can get going before someone comes by and brings out that yellow flag for him. But after sitting on the pole last week, leading a bunch of laps at the beginning of that first run, and the tires just falling away from him at Texas, it seems like it's continued the trend downwards as here comes the pack right behind him to put him a lap down. He's going to have to get up to speed here on this apron. I think he will most likely go a lap down here.
And then that's going to put Brandon Messick into a position where he needs a yellow to come out. There is the field, a gaggle of them, as majority of that pack that's racing around one another is that battle for 5th place. But, man, that is disheartening for the 88 machine, who is in the grass now.
Yeah, I am shocked by what I'm seeing there. I don't understand it. Maybe you know, a lot of times I try to analyze things up here in the booth. I really can't analyze this because that is a questionable call here for this 88 to bring it through the gas. I don't know if he's just saying race over and he's just going to come to pit road this way, but that is a tough way to give up. I mean, if you get a caution and you're on the first car lap down, you can get that lucky dog back. Maybe just feels this race was not going his way here tonight.
No, not at all, but we will have to go back to some of the best racing action on track, and that's for 7th, 8th, 9th. This gaggle of cars are getting mixy, and they are going 2 wide, almost 3 wide at times. And that of Dylan Grimm being pressured, and in the thick of things is Christopher Wade, Scott Rickard, Andrew Medlin, Ross Tatum, Jason Grad, Kevin O'Keefe. These are all drivers that we could say all huge threats to watch out for themselves. But man, I gotta say, in the thick of all of this, Andrew Hess, that of Andrew Medlin, excuse me, he is in the middle, and here's our driver cam. How is this focus gotta be? He's running that outside lane, but he is not in a safe place currently.
That he is not, and I tell you what's crazy here too is like this far into the run, the tires are burnt up. This is the longest run they've had on a set of tires so far here tonight, and when you're this stacked up, mistakes can be easily made. You can see the focus on Andrew's face there. He's trying everything in Medlin's power here to keep a hold of those positions and stay hooked up to the drivers ahead of him, because look at this 3 wide behind him. He's going to get to see this in his mirror.
He's seen it in his mirror, and that's incredible to watch the 3 wide battling. And this isn't even the first time they've been 3 wide for the past 2-3 laps. Tatum almost makes the contact. O'Keefe's trying to hold steady on the inside. That is asking a lot on these old tires. They were 3 wide back here. They were almost 3 wide ahead of them as well, as everyone starts the single file out. A little bit of chaos, and now it's the calm before potentially the next storm that builds up.
Yeah, and what I'm interested to see here is this the tire we're kicking in? The tires are starting to fall away for a lot of the group of these drivers right here around these spots, and it's making big movement, big mistakes all around, and it's really being led by Dylan Glass, who has Dylan Grimm all over him. So the Dylan's going to battle there for the 5th and 6th position, where it's starting to stack up this whole group all the way back to Kevin O'Keefe, and Scalise not too far behind that either.
No, he's back in 13th. He made a couple of passes. He's starting to get the draft, and he is running faster than actually the 2 drivers ahead of him. So that of Scalise could be finding himself a good top 10 position before we get ourselves situated for green flag pit stop, which, Zach, we could be thinking about seeing some drivers coming into pit road here in the next 10 to 15 laps, maybe even sooner than that.
That we could, Sam, because the window is starting to get closer and closer for these guys to open up to make it all the way to the end of this race. It's only going to be 1 green flag stop they're going to need to get to the end. I think they want to stretch it out just a little bit farther here, like you said, around 10 to 15 laps, and I think that'll be the green zone for them there. As you see Scott Rickard, he's using every bit of the racetrack there, trying to go low and make that pass, as this group's still so stacked up. The top three, though, have broken away there. Diego Valle and Joshua Robinson and Andrew Hess. But I'm also going to give credit to Valle, who's in the 77. He's still one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. He is not stopping his run forward. No contact.
Oh, the 29 going to be holding on, but he's still wiggling. He's trying to stay down low. Everyone goes to the outside, trying to avoid that of Dylan Glass. Glass holds steady, but they're 3 wide coming with the pass. Talk about Scott Rickard's aggressiveness. Well, here we go. He's right at the quarter panel. Christopher Wade just clear as they're starting to squeeze up, and the packing like sardines right now in this pack. They saw it. We were talking about it. Just one mistake, we could start to see them build up. The tire wear no longer friends, and the exit of the corner is going to be more and more detrimental. And now it's not even just the exit, it's the center of the corner off of the exit of the corner.
This racing has been so intense in the past really 10 to 15 laps. These tires getting this old are really starting to add to the racing here, and it's all over the racing surface. I mean, this group here battling, the group up ahead's battling. It's just every single position is open for the taking here. And, you know, I talked about passing being tough. It's still tough, but that window of passing has opened much more here. Is now Scott Rickard on that outer groove. He's going to be able to make the pass on Dylan Grimm. He's up to 6 after winning last week at Texas. Watch out for this 32 if he continues his march forward, about 2.5 seconds off the lead.
I mean, that shot that we just had of the front stretch, it was interesting to see. We talked about on the corners, how there's so much space. You're searching for grip. You're searching for where you can make these passes. The 8 machine of Jason Gratton went all the way down to the apron trying to cut down on that straightaway speed. Curious if he's going to try that again. It looks like he's just going to stay in line with the draft, but just showing everyone right now in this stage of the race searching for any place to get an advantage right now.
That they are, Sam. I tell you, it's what you got to do, though. With a 2-mile racetrack like this, you got to cut the distance where you can, and the straightaway, or really the tribal, is the place to do it. So Jason Gratton attempting to do that, but Dylan Glass in the 29 after that moment having to, get bumped and slid back there. He's under threat from Will Bustler in that number 6 machine. So this group here is really getting bigger and bigger as it starts to get more and more drivers involved in his. Bustler will make that pass on Glass.
He will make the pass, but in front of Will Bustler's the 48. We talked about Scalise on the fact that he was catching up his lead pack. Well, that last lap, the 48 is the fastest car on track that last go around. This past lap, he was the 2nd fastest, and gotta say, he's starting to make the march forward, but there's just so much traffic in front of that of the 48 to our leader. But right now, it is interesting to watch how these drivers are starting to ebb and flow on this long run. We're 58 laps in, and they are still ramping up as that of Ross Tatum tries to make the pass here on the 17 of Dylan Grimm, as Grimm hating the fact that he's starting to go backwards. And we're seeing cloud coverage. Well, the sun has come out to play, as look at the track, it's so bright there.
Man, yeah, it really did just come out a ton right there. As we pull up that weather graphic, you get to see what is going down here in the Irish Spring Hills of Michigan. It's going to be mostly cloudy skies here with 69-degree ambient temperature out there in the air. But that track temp is a scorching 93 degrees right now with a west 2-mile-an-hour wind, sometimes even switching to southwest. So that wind's going back and forth, and that can have a huge effect when you're at these high speeds like this. That little bit of wind can make the balance of that car shift very quickly.
And also being mostly cloudy, and you saw there, we are seeing a half track baking in the sun. The other half is in the cloud coverage. It's the first half, turns 1 and 2, and the back stretch is dealing with cloud coverage. It's the that of 3 and 4 in the front stretch that's got the sunshine. And Zach, with that little bit of a change, that could start to heat up the track just slightly. Curious on how that will affect these drivers, especially with how much their tire wear is already being brutalized with just the way that this track is built and the way that you have to attack this track. But on top of that, having some speed of the temperature, building up, it's gone up a degree. They are starting to feel the pain more.
That they are, Sam, and when it's 2 different sides of the track like that, it makes the car just handle completely different in the opposite ends. And that can give you a little bit of, weird feelings in the car. It just, one end of the track it's handling this way, and one end of the track it's handling completely different. So you got to drive it completely different, and that can throw some people off. Some people thrive in those type of moments where they can figure out exactly what they need, but other drivers sometimes just flounder. And it's Patrick Hasty here in the 4. Talked to him early in this race. He's on pit road here for his pit stop, looking to maybe go to the end.
And this is going to be at lap 40 coming into pit road, and looking at the way that the drivers are running, 40 laps looks doable, and that could be the start of the window. And for the Ford Patrick Racing, he was deep in the field. He has to try something different. Hitting this early, not a bad call in my opinion for the Ford that undercut pitting sooner. And here comes now that Ross Tatum into pit road. He's one of our first drivers inside of the top 10 to be coming into pit road. And this is even more surprising because usually our top 10, top 15, they pit after the back half of the field comes into pit road.
It is very surprising to me also. It's, a little early for me for, being up in that position to look to come to pit road. I think Derek Offerman also in the 20, he comes to pit road also. So they're feeling like they want to split it because, like we were talking about, it's under 40 to go now. They've done 39 laps up to this point. So I think Ross Tatum just feels that a split is the best way to do it. And I tell you, he had an excellent entry into pit road too. He got perfectly down the 55 mile an hour right before that line, and that's what you want to do is maximize as much speed as possible. But here comes Andrew Hess to put him a lap down.
It is a gaggle of cars into pit road. It's going to be that of Christopher Wade, O'Keefe, that of Scalise, as well as Nate Lynch, all coming in this go-around. And that is going to, it seems to be a big swing. Drivers immediately recognizing, hey, we got to come into pit road. And with drivers coming into pit road, it is actually splitting up drivers, and it's not allowing some to maximize on the draft on the straightaways, some having to back off coming on the exit of turn 4. And that big old group that we were seeing battling for 4th back to that of 12th, they are struggling right now. But into pit road, here comes our leader, the 5 of Andrew Hess, and everyone else, and 2 drivers wrecking coming into pit road. 3, it's Grattan into the grass, he doesn't even enter.
Yeah, Grattan is going to be in big trouble there with all that loss of speed. He's getting back up the speed, but it was Will Bustler and the 17 of Dylan Grimm there getting into it a little bit coming here to the pit road. The 17 spun down and luckily found a hole in the wall somehow to get, not in the worst position, but had to back up. That was the worst spot for him, as he had to back up, but could have got damage from it, but luckily escapes out of it. But that's going to be a huge loss of time, not only, but also just an interesting call there to come with that many drivers. They all felt it was the right time, I feel.
Now comes Scott Rickard into pit road. That of Kyle Bowling comes into pit road. That of Hess Hale, is going to stay out. And everyone else, except for the 40, comes into pit road. George Kovacic stays out for an extra lap. And Jason Grattan, after a large amount of time lost, he finally enters pit road as nobody, surprising to me, no one has been caught speeding on the entry, even with some of those incidents that we saw.
Yeah, I tell you, some drivers got a lot out of it too. One most specifically is the guy we've talked about a lot tonight, the 77 of Diego Valle. He was about 1.1 seconds back from Andrew Hess before they hit pit road. Now he is on the back bumper heading off past the start-finish line. So the 5 and the 77, they're going to have to duke it out here late in this race to see who wants to win it all if this thing stays green, because they are the drivers in that position. But so many drivers hitting pit road in that moment, it was kind of intense not to see any black flags flying.
And as well as we're waiting for Hale to come into pit road, Trey Jackson come to pit road, and George Kovacic, we actually have to go back to 4th place because it's the battle between the drivers that have already come into pit road. Ross Tatum, who pitted 2 laps sooner, is already caught, and Andrew Hess, Diego Valle, here they come to see who can be leading and taking what should be the lead once this pit cycle goes through.
Yeah, you can't get held up here. You cannot lose time, and that is what Andrew Hess has done. He's pulled low here on the tri-oval, and look at the power of just 2 laps on the tires. Those 2 just stormed past the 21, who I think for Ross Tatum, where he was sitting at in that pack, this has been a good call for him. He's known to be able to make tires last very well. Now has gained track position of a majority of the drivers behind him. But yeah, when it comes down to a race winning move, it was not that way. So we'll see if he can hold on to the track position he's gained. But these 2, I think it's going to be a scrap between them till the very end.
Another driver we have to watch out for, that is our winner from last week, Scott Rickard. He has the freshest of tires of those that are going to be inside of our top 10 once this pit cycle goes all the way through, as Aaron Hill is exiting pit road now. Trey Jackson, George Kovacic still needing to come into pit road. But man, is this battling. We know it's going to heat up even more as the run goes on, as the pit cycle has just finished. We are actually going to step aside. We're going to take our 1 commercial break here this evening. As we come back, it is going to be the push to the end. Who's winning the FR Graphics and Design 200 here at Michigan for the Stars and Stripes series? hey, come back, wait. But guess what? You won't miss a thing as we go side by side here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Stars and Stripes series. As you've been watching some of the best racing action you could ask for here at Michigan, as these drivers are on top of one another. As watching the Stars and Stripes series presented by Next Level Racing as well for these drivers. Hey, if you want the best that you can get in racing equipment, go to Next Level Racing. And also, ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Thank you to those two major sponsors that help out Stars and Stripes and the best that they can be out there for these drivers, as we are watching some great racing, and it is stacked 3 wide white right now. It's Kevin O'Keefe has just been giving everyone a heart attack with how hard he's been driving into the corner. And thank you for joining us on your Thursday night on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. And Zach, I don't know how much longer this group can hold on with the way we're seeing them drive.
My heart rate is picking up watching this. I can only imagine what the drivers are going through right now. As Scott Rickard, he waited that extra lap to take it compared to this group. And some of these guys he has 2 laps fresher than. And I think it was a masterful call by him, because he was able to make a 3-wide pass there on the bottom in 3 and 4. And you don't normally see that here tonight. And he's done it because of those fresher tires compared to his group. So Scott Rickard, after his win last season, I think he's continuing to look like a very good season is coming forth for him in that 32 machine. But you can see behind him, Kevin O'Keefe, he's still trying to get the pass done on the 15 of Christopher Wade. This is going to be tough for him. Those two on even sets of tires. Joshua Robinson behind him on 1 lap fresher. So this is going to be fun to watch the difference on tires here.
And then as well, you have that of the 29 and the 48 racing with one another. And there, it's going to be that of Brian Scalise on that of 1 lap older tires than Dylan Glasses. Glasses closing in on the bickering between that of Christopher Wade and that of Kevin O'Keefe, as you're riding on board with Joshua Robinson. And Robinson has had some great runs at the exit of the corner, but he's not been able to use up any of this speed as we're riding on board the 10. You can just tell he wants to make a move, but at the same time, he doesn't know who to help.
It's so tough when you're in this position. You're probably, in my opinion, if I'm him, I'm going to the outside here. I'm pushing that 15, trying to get the 15 clear of the 23 so I can utilize that outer groove to pass that 23. But right here, the 15 overdrives that entry. And right here, I think he's going to elect, you know what, it's time to do this. And he might even think of 3 wide. No, he decides better of it. He falls back in line with the 23 here and looks to push him forward. So being very patient. And I've seen that from Joshua Robinson last season. He's a patient driver. He does not force the issue. He's not willing to risk too much. He just wants to go out there, have a nice, clean race, and get the passes done in a nice, orderly manner. But sometimes you got to be willing to throw that thing 3 wide to go forward, because it's a tough thing for him, because he was in second all the way up to almost the end of that run before Diego Valle caught him, and he was in third by a good gap. And after those pit stops, that gap has disappeared for him, because just didn't get the right pit stop necessarily, because he's lost ground to all the drivers around him.
Run out like on the entry of the pit stop, lost all that time, then trying to just maximize the best that he can get at this point. Joshua Robinson, again, not the strongest run that he wanted last week, still trying to get that consistency. And a driver that's kind of surprised me right now, Nate Lynch, he is cruising on the outside for the 1, but then behind them, Kyle Bowling, who has not been showing too much strength. He's kind of been in the middle of the field, kind of underneath all the shadow of all the dramatic flair that we've been seeing from up fronts racing. This 24, 12th place, he's got some fresh rubber, and some of the freshest rubber of those even in front of him.
That he does, so let's see what he can look to perform to do here, as he's got that 48 and that 1 side-by-side. Bowling, and you know, Bowling, the interesting thing about him is he always seems to get better as the race goes on, in my opinion, and he always seems to be one of those drivers that can keep the tires very much under him. So it's been kind of surprising not to see him farther up tonight, especially after that run he was having at Texas before the incident there in 3 and 4 that really upset his race. He was having an excellent run there, so just something not clicking for him here tonight in Michigan. But I think we'll see much more of that 24 heading forward through a couple more of these races.
Right on board back bumper of the 1 of Nate Lynch, getting shot of that of Brian Scalise and that Jimmy Johnson Lowe's machine, Kyle Bowling, and that of Jeff Gordon's scheme. It is again, I still can't get over how fun this is to commentate this series, seeing these old schemes on these tracks. Like we said, just giving a little bit of a throwback to the old days of 2003 to 2006, as that Steve Park scheme for the 1 of Nate Lynch trying to hold off and stay inside of the top 10 as we are closing in on 20 laps to go. And for that of Kevin O'Keefe, he is still side by side with Christopher Wade, but they've swapped positions. Now it's O'Keefe on the outside and Wade on the inside.
That it is. They're swapping
flag.
positions. Oh, no.
And it's the 88 just parking it in such an odd spot. It's completely off the racing surface, but for some reason it throws a yellow flag.
Ooh, that's going to be frowned upon right there in the disconnect from the server. So Messick continuing from where, I mean, he rode in the grass for a long time there earlier tonight, so I don't know what was up with that call to do that, then come back out on the track. I mean, I figured it was a decision not to race anymore after he did that. But Sam, it looks like he's went back out there and decided to pull over. I mean, I understand he was super far off the racing surface. There's times where you can come back to pit road and do the disconnect.
It is one of those things you didn't expect a yellow flag to happen like that, but this changes everything for these drivers, because that was all Andrew Hess and Diego Valle's race. Valle was just being patient, waiting, but this is what brought out our late yellow. It's going to be less than 20 laps to go, and the 88's just running fine, just running his own lap, went a little bit too high, going to brush the outside wall, and then just says, I'm done. Pulls down the apron, and this is what brings out our yellow. The fact that the 88 just pulls down low and comes to a complete stop and then takes the toe to pit road.
Yeah, and sometimes these yellows, in iRacing can be interesting because, some tracks they won't throw that yellow for being down there, and some tracks they will. Michigan is one of those places on that back straightaway, it seems like it acts like it's the whole racing surface, so it'll throw that flag very quickly. But with all that going down, Messick deciding to pull over and into his night, it has brought a interesting conclusion to this race because, like you said, now Hess and Valle, who are battling it out, they are going to have a chance to come to pit road here and have to battle against the rest of the field. And even Ross Tatum, you got to give him credit. He's in third right now. He gained the most from all of the strategy.
Yeah, I mean, that works out. We were scratching our head wondering if this was even a good thought by the 21, because based off of the way that he was losing time, he probably wasn't going to stay in third. But a driver that is trying strategy out, even under this caution, is Trey Jackson, who is struggling. You know, we talked about that first yellow, deciding to now stay out is the 25, as he's going to be taking that lap lead for himself.
We'll see how that works out for Trey Jackson. He's going to get that lap lead, but we'll see what he elects to do. I mean, he's got 13 laps on the tires right now. I don't think there'd be no reason to save him. They had 4 sets of tires here coming into tonight, so maybe wanting to save that last set since majority of the fields just took their last, and he feels like maybe we could have another quick yellow, but there's not that much time to make up the ground. So I think more or less he's doing what you're talking about, Sam, and just staying out here lead a lap, and he might come to pit road this next time by. So we'll get to see it, but man, this is shook things up right here.
Boy, 2 tires for Brian Scalise. He is going to take the strategy call for the 48 machine. And if we see 25 duck it down low, Brian Scalise is going to be the starter for this restart.
It looks like Trey Jackson, no.
Staying out. Oh, my goodness.
Big decisions being made there. I'm a little bit head scratching, but I will say it'll be interesting to see. But as you can see here, we're showing the rookie drivers here's running orders, and there's some good rookie drivers out there tonight. Scalise with the 2-tire call. This is going to make things very interesting. Him and Valle have been on the money all night long, along with Kevin O'Keefe also.
Yeah, and the only one that's really struggling here tonight is Ed Perry, after he had his nose kind of clipped by that of the 88 earlier in this race. But man, the rookie class has certainly been showing out here tonight, and now strategy calls gonna be thrown out. I'm still baffled by this. We got 2 drivers with very different strategies for themselves. You got 48 who went with 2 tires. You got Trey Jackson, who's gonna have a 13-lap disadvantage over that of the rest of the field, who's gonna have fresh tires to work with here. I am curious on how this is gonna work for Brian Scalise, especially on the fact that this track seemed to be tightening up. Those 2 tires might help him out here, Zach.
It very well could. That's what was running through my brain. The decision is interesting, but I don't think it's the worst call you could ever make. The track position is going to be nice, especially here if Trey Jackson, if he can make the right move around Trey Jackson, get ahead of him and get a little bit of a gap, we get a few cautions or something, he might be in the right situation. But I'm just interested to see how the balance will shift. Those 2 tires tend to make the car a little freer. We have seen it be on that tight side tonight, but we have seen him step sideways a few times, so he's got to be careful.
Well, under commercial break, we were saying there was probably a highly likelihood that there was going to be a caution. We did not think that it was going to be the way that it came out, but now it is less than 20 laps to go. Green flag back in the air, and it's going to be Trey Jackson, that of Brian Scalise, right in their way, trying to pull away from the rest of the field. Here comes Scott Rickard, Andrew Hess, marching their way forward, and it's going to be the run on the backstretch. Who is going to work with the draft, and who's going to have the better run to try to make these passes?
It's crazy to say this, but Scott Rickard could go back to back here. Look at the run down the back straightaway. He's going to have a shot, but here comes the 23 of Kevin O'Keefe. What a big run from him. And the 25 of Trey Jackson says, I'm backing out of this situation. It's side by side for the lead with Scalise and the 32 of Rickard. Rickard somehow here going to take the lead and be in position to go back to back with the Reckon.
Oh, there they go, Scalise. He's going to clip Andrew Medlin, and the rest of the field tries to scatter. Medlin coming back down across the field, and drivers somehow avoiding. No, they won't. The 99 and 43 make contact.
Oh, man, that is tough to see there. I think it all just started. Definitely all just started with the contact between the 5 and the 48. But, man, that right there went worse as the rest of the field tried to scatter and miss the incident.
As you see here, 2 tires trying to hold strong, drifting up and gets back into the throttle. And Andrew Hess just gasses up so much faster, picks up that 48. And when you gear rear end one of these drivers in this car, I mean, Zach, we touched on it back at Daytona when we were talking about bump drafting. You have zero control. Then Andrew Medlin gets clipped. He tries to hold on, and at this point, the rest of the field, what a congratulational job as they were all ducked down low, giving each other plenty of space. But it's at the end of this run when drivers not really reacting the way that they should be.
Yeah, this is where it goes wrong for the last half of the field. Is I think Andrew Medley, they're trying to hold on to what he had from that, but I think it was the 22 there, Brian Lynch, who had big trouble.
The contact from Brian Chu into that of Doug Pierce, who then comes back into the 18 who for Andrew Medlin, and that was a little bit, I would say, a little bit arc breaking from Doug Pierce, who just did not slow down going through that incident, kind of forced drivers not to have space for themselves. But I mean, Zach, the drivers trying everything that they could, and here comes a quick caution. And for that Scalise, he tried a valiant effort, taking 2 tires, but it was for nothing at this point.
That it was. That is tough, man. You know, went for the track position, went for the glory, and sometimes that, you know, strategy call can end up biting you. And you know, Andrew Hess, just like you were talking about when you were looking at the replay, just gassed it up and had such more, you know, of a run off the exit that I think he just misjudged it and just ran over that 48 completely. And you got to feel for Scalise, you got to feel for especially Medlin, who was just minding his own business there and gets caught up in that mess up ahead of him. So it's racing type of deal, but it's going to be one that definitely lingers on the mind of these drivers as we go through the rest of this season. But with this caution, I mean, it's changed the whole complex of this race. Scott Rickard's now gotten to the lead. Andrew Hess now back to second. Kevin O'Keefe, he's up to third. And Diego Valle, we know how strong he's been all night. He's in fourth right now to try to make a move. I think anybody personally in this top 10 still has a shot because this is going to get super mixy. Everybody's going to be going for every little gap, every little crevice left in that racing spot. And it's going to get wild nonetheless to say.
Well, if you haven't shared the broadcasts already, this is the best time to do so because this is going to get ramped up. Less than 15 laps to go. That last restart showed drivers were willing to go 2-3 wide, and they are going to try their best to attack one another. And Zach, something else you could share? On our Twitter, we posted it today. It's our Daytona 500 charity event. The slots and positions to get into this race, they are shrinking quickly. But man, Zach, I'm certainly excited. February 11th, that's when we get to see this race.
That it is, Sam. February 11th at 6 p.m. Eastern here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, the Daytona 500. And it's going to be all about raising money for the Juveniles Diabetes Research Foundation, which we've already raised over $580 up to this point. So if you're feeling very generous out there and you feel like you want to contribute to the cause of our fundraiser, check out the link I posted out there in the chat and go ahead and send a donation over, and you'll be helping fight the fight against type 1 diabetes. So it's one that is definitely special to our hearts here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, and I can't wait to see what we can do when it comes around February 11th, because that race is going to be super special for us up here to see what we all came up with here this month of January and month of February to help out the children out there in the world. So I can't wait, Sam. I know a lot of people are preparing for it, and we got about 10 slots left in the race. It's going to be fun to watch 43 drivers go at it for 500 miles.
And even if you aren't wanting to race, we've had other people donate that said, hey, I wish I could race, but I still want to help the cause. So, hey, any little bit helps. Again, we're raising. It's all about the charity. But tonight, it's all about who can finish up front. Could someone lock into the playoffs? Time to tell. Or could Scott Rickard go back-to-back as we're back to green flag action? That time machine looks fast, and he finally has the clean air to work with. But Andrew Hess, he's led. He looks strong in the middle of this race, but can he get back to the lead? He's going to need some help, and here comes Diego Valle. He's going to be trying to give him a bump as the field scatters coming out of turn number 2.
This is the sight that Scott Rickard wants to see. He sees it 3 wide behind him down the back straight. He's trying to break the draft, let nobody get the help there. And Valle on the bottom, Keith in the middle, and Hess up top. But Valle with the strong move there on the bottom, he's going to clear Kevin O'Keefe, but he's going to slide up the racetrack. This is going to allow Kevin O'Keefe to take it 3 wide. We're going to continue down the first straightaway 3 wide.
3 wide, and the advantage goes to Andrew Hess. He's got more drivers on his backside, but they're just not close enough. They continue to stay 3 wide on the entry of the corner, and Kevin O'Keefe, he's been aggressive on the entry, save for Valle, and they continue to stay 3 wide for another lap, but they're squeezing up on the exit. They have to be perfect here. They're holding strong, a little bit of contact between O'Keefe and also that of Valle, but Zach, they're still 3 wide somehow, and finally O'Keefe loses that bottom lane.
Oh, man, it was door-banging moments there off of turn number 2. Kevin O'Keefe up into the 77 as they're 3 wide on that exit. And right there with the move into 3 and 4, Valle able to make the pass. Does he have the time, though? There is plenty left, but can he get the run to make his way forward here to have a chance to go and get that victory taken away from Scott Rickard, who wants to go back-to-back? Or does Kevin O'Keefe have some more to say also?
I mean, Scott Rickard was scampering away. He had over a half a second gap lead to second place as they were battling side by side. Now it's a little bit under a half a second as Valle is trying to figure out what lane's going to give him more draft assistance to get faster in the entry of turn 4 as he's sliding back and forth. But right now, it just seems like for Scott Rickard, that clean air is such an advantage to have at this moment as Hess, he thought he had this race won at one moment. Same did Christopher Wade with how dominant they looked at this up front. But now they are watching 2 different drivers with opportunity to win here tonight.
And I'm interested to see what does Scott Rickard do if Valle gets to him. What lane does he give him? I think you got to give him the bottom. You can't give up the top. We've seen here Kevin O'Keefe, he's been on the inside of Hess here for multiple laps. This is allowing Joshua Robinson to get to the outside of him now, and that outer groove is just the place to be. If you're Scott Rickard and that 77 gets to you here at the end of this race, you must not give up the top. You have to keep defense of that and just hope that that 77 doesn't have the grip to slide up in front of him.
It's going to be that of 9 laps to go right now with Scott Rickard crossing the line, still side by side. And Kevin O'Keefe, he has been, I feel like, side by side with somebody for the majority of the night. We have just been seeing this 23. He's been fighting and clawing to move up and stay up front. But right now, everyone fighting against that 23 machine, and he is going in the wrong direction. No draft assistance, but finally finds a pocket to move up.
He does find that pocket in there in the outside line to move himself up in front of Ross Tatum, who just didn't get the greatest restarts here after coming into pit road 3rd on that caution before, and just couldn't keep the track position that he gained through all of that sequence. But don't leave him out of it yet, because we still got plenty of time here. Michigan's a long racetrack. There's 8 laps to go. I mean, that's 16 miles, folks. So this race is not out of the woodworks yet. You got to be perfect all the way down to the end. And Kevin O'Keefe with a drive through the center there, all over the back bumper of Robinson.
And he's trying to make this work, but they're all single filed out. No one's getting a true launch, and if we're going to see a wreck, it might happen in the middle of the pack. There is a group of drivers side by side, and it's going to be Medlin who's caught up in a wreck. Brian Chu caught up in that last major wreck, as well as seeing Grimm and others side by side. If one caution flag comes out, there's one driver sitting out there on track still waiting for a blessing. That's Trey Jackson, who has one more set of tires in pit road waiting, but he needs a caution to strike now.
He needs it to happen immediately. I mean, to have any chance of getting into the top 10, I think you need to have at least 4 laps of good running time to get yourself up there. But I mean, it's unfortunate for him that it hasn't happened, but you're seeing some mixy racing here. Will Bustler ducking out, Ed Perry in the 42, the 20 of Offerman, also the 17 of Grimm, and the 3 wide is
Bustler. He's washing up, and they're going to be Grimm up to Offerman. They somehow hold steady, and they continue to stay side by side through that of the exit of turn 4. Somehow they hold strong, and that is some great driving awareness, and the fact that they were able to give each other plenty of space. And even with the wash up, they were keeping each other in equal distance, not direct there.
Oh, man, that was the closest action it could have been. I thought Bustler with the trajectory there of that corner, I thought it was done for. I thought they were all just kaputs, but they make it through that corner somehow and survive. But right now, Scalise trying to make his way back forward after that 2-tire stop that really got him in that trouble there with the 5 Andrew Hess. And now trying to make his way and at least recover some of these positions that he has given up by getting spun out.
And as this group continues to race on, the battling for the lead is shrinking because that is Scott Rickard over a half a second will cut it in half. That of Diego Valle, as well as Andrew Hess, Robinson, they are in line. They're drafting together, and they are closing in on the bumper of this 32. Zach, it's 5 laps to go. The snaking is getting more aggressive, but it's practically for nothing as all those drivers just stay in line on the outside.
That they have everybody staying in line, and if you're Scott Rickard, you want to break the draft, but you don't want to do it if they're too close, because if they're too close and they get to your outside, you can kiss this race goodbye. I think that 77 gets to your quarter panel, he's going around you. So you better watch out for that move here before to go, and they're slowly, each and every lap is inching closer and closer to him. But the closer they get, the harder it's also going to get to make that work. They have the ability to get the good draft off and down that front straightaway. And right now, Scott Rickard with a good enough gap to feel comfortable heading down to 3 and 4 from this time.
I mean, it's good enough for this time, but what about the next time, the next 3 opportunities? And also, we touched on it earlier in the race. When do you work with the drivers around you, or do you play a little bit of I'm taking what I want? And it looks like we're seeing a little bit of that now. Diego Valle already going to be having an opportunity to be passed here. Andrew Hess to the quarter panel, trying to make the move for second and trying to get as much help as possible from anyone behind. Side by side, the 5 holds steady. Valle going to be holding as much as he can to pinch, but he drifts up, gives the space for the 5 for a great launch out of turn 2.
And right here, Scott Rickard up ahead of him. They're still side by side with this. He's going to give the draft to the 5. He wants to keep these guys side by side as long as possible. These two racing is the best possible moment for that 32 to go back to back. He does not want to see one of them clear, because that gives them the opportunity. They're sliding up almost into each other. This is stacking up that group even more. Ross Tatum, Joshua Robinson, also Kevin O'Keefe and Christopher Wade coming into the background. 2 laps to go, and it's any man's game in here in that top 7.
2 to go. If we get the white flag, we race this thing to the end. But if a caution flag comes out, we go to overtime. And Scott Rickard, he wants to see this race stay green as that Ross Tatum bounces it to the 3rd lane, trying to go 3 wide to make some passes for himself. That Rickard ducking down low, trying to give the draft assistance once again to the 5. The toe helps them stay side by side. Kevin O'Keefe's going to forward try, almost force it 3 wide. They are stacking, but watch out for the drift from the 5 up through the corner. They stay steady at a turn number 4. Somehow they stay green. They're 1, 2, almost 3 wide through the field, ducking it down low. It's our freaky fast white flag. Zach, it's on the line. Who's getting second? Because Scott looks clean.
And here comes Ross Tatum in the 21. Also, Scott Rickard has not been driving deep into those corners. He's been backing it up a lot and is losing him time. He needs to be able to get a better run in there, because right here on the back straight, they're wrecking behind him.
The outside wall. Huge wreck for himself. It's just 2 drivers. Make it 3. Kevin O'Keefe's trying to get close enough. Diego Valle needs to make the push. Will he get to the quarter panel? He tries to dive it down low. Not close enough. He's got one more opportunity. He needs the cleanest run out of the corner. Scott Rickard trying to go back to back. Valle trying to make the pass on the inside to the apron, to the line. It's going to be Scott Rickard.
What a finish. Michigan once again proves that it's got great finishes. And man, woo, everybody take a deep breath out there watching. I know Sam has to, because that right there was a call to the end, folks. Scott Rickard, I mean, back-to-back wins, and what a way to do it.
I mean, Diego, if he had stayed maybe behind for a half a second longer, maybe he could have gotten a little bit more of that draft assistance. But man, he was so close. 0.07 of a second, just a bumper. And that is Scott Rickard gets the win back-to-back, the first 2-time winner of this season. And Zach, we talked to the 32 last week, said he finally got the win at an oval. He was tired of winning at either a super speedway or at the road courses. This is looking like the Scott Rickard of season 4, and also looking like the Scott Rickard of season 2 when he won the championship.
Yeah, this is a scary, scary sight to see if you're the rest of the field. I think the only man that's got to feel confident some-wise near him is Diego Valle. I mean, Valle is definitely, I think, a star in the budding here at, the Stars and Stripes League. But this guy right here, he is back, folks. There's a reason why he had such great stats here. It wasn't because he ever left. It just, some reason that next-gen car just wasn't fitting him. But this ARCA car, it has come back to proving that he is one to watch out for. He wants to get that next championship.
He really does want it, and man, he looks like he is ready to continue this push. This is only race number 3 of the season, but what a goodie it was. And for us, we are not done for our nightly broadcast. We still have the post-race show. We'll talk to our top 2 and our spotlight driver. We'll be back in just a few moments. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to that of the Freaky Fast Broadcasting post-race show for the Stars and Stripes ARCA Series Season 6. What a run that of Race 3 gave us. A side-by-side finish between that of Diego Valle as well as Scott Rickard, and it comes away with the 32 Tide Machine. So we're going to start things off with our winner here tonight. We've got that of the 32 Machine. Scott, what a run for yourself there. Got the clean air, then you were battling side by side. How are you feeling after that one?
A lot more tired than I was after last week's, especially looking back the entire last 5 laps, like trying to make sure that they didn't get close to me. And then somehow when they got side by side, they started catching me more than they were in single file. So definitely a close game with them getting there.
Well, Scott, back to back, my friend. Good job on that once again. I mean, how does this feel to be winning on ovals once again? And you got a road course coming up. I mean, this is going to feel like some of the best momentum you've got built up in a while.
It's the most fun I've been having with these races since the Xfinity series. The Gen 6 and the next gen did not work for my style with how much downforce they have. So I'm just glad to go back to a car with a little more driving ability than air ability.
Yeah, I mean, Scott, that was something we were actually touching on after we saw you get the win. I mean, it just seems like you're hitting that form of season 4 in the Xfinity car, as well as the Truck Series back in season 2. Just when you were dominating races. Are you feeling like this trend is going to continue on, especially on the fact that we're heading to a road course? And We look at the track, the last couple of seasons when we've been going to road courses, you've been the driver to win most of those. How confident are you feeling as we head to that to Sonoma?
Very much. I love road course racing, so it's always fun to do them. Even if I wasn't the best, I'd still be joining them. So being good at them just makes it even better, more enjoyment.
Well, that was incredible to watch, Scott. And before we let you go, we got our usual spot for you for those shout outs at the end of the race.
Everybody at my team and my dog.
That is going to be the 32 Machinist Scott Rickard. Congratulations on your finish and good luck next week.
Thank you.
As we head from the victory lane to second place for a driver that honestly, outside of the booth, it's becoming one of our favorite drivers to talk to and as well watch. It's Diego Valle with us. Diego, what a run. You almost stole it at the end there. You're our biggest mover of the night as well. How are you feeling after that one?
I'm gonna be honest, I'm still shaken after that one. I was not expecting. I was expecting myself to be quick, but after qualifying 23rd, starting towards the back again, I really wasn't expecting to move up that much. And to be there at the finish with Scott, that was a heck of a race. That was a heck of a run. Good win to Scott.
I tell you, Diego, yeah, you're definitely making a name for yourself, buddy. Driving through the field each and every week, it seems like. I mean, take us through that because it looked tough to pass here tonight, but you were the driver making it probably look the easiest. How were you able to do that?
Yeah, on fresh tires, I just found it easy to get around people, to be quite honest. I feel like I had the line down. I feel like I had the lift off point correct. My turning point was great. I feel like everything was clicking in that early run, and that really enabled me to just get a move on. And I was saving tires too, so
I mean, that's the thing that was impressive to watch was the fact that you just had that constant pace at all times. It seems like the only thing that's been the struggle point is qualifying. It just seems like that second lap has been the struggle spot of trying to make it clean. But Diego, we're heading to a road course next week, heading to Sonoma, first road course of the season. How are you feeling confidence-wise heading to that course?
I'm feeling extremely confident. I like I like my odds on a road course. I know Scott is a heck of a road course driver, but I'll be keeping up for him. I'll be hopefully up there again, talking to y'all next weekend, or sorry, next Thursday.
Well, hopefully we'll be talking to you as well. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
All right, shout out to my mom and dad again. Shout out to my friend Jack who tuned into this race. Thank you so much. Shout out to the Arca Farm Discord. Shout out to my teammates, Brian, Dylan, Andrew Medlin. Y'all are great. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for everything. It's been a heck of a time.
Well, that is going to be the 77 machine of Diego Valle. Congratulations on second place and good luck next week at Sonoma.
Thank you.
As we head from second place, our spotlight driver isn't too far behind. We actually are going to pick third place finisher, that of Kevin O'Keefe, as he was one of the more drivers that were trying to be aggressive to get those last place finishes there. We got Kevin O'Keefe with us. Kevin, congratulations on third. But man, you were making some aggressive passing moves or fighting for every position possible. But how are you feeling coming away with third place?
Well, we were saving tires there the first run, and then we figured out tires don't work because no one was going. Even there was nobody in the back that was catching up. So after the halfway through in the race, I just said, okay, tires be damned, let's just go for it.
Well, Kevin, you definitely showed that there, man. As the runs continued on, you definitely made the pace pick up there. As you said, you were saving tires in that first portion of this race. But, man, I mean, it's been a up and down season, especially with, Texas last week running so well there and just, unfortunate, mishaps there. How does it feel to get a top 3, top 5 here in the third race to kind of switch that momentum back?
Well, the results are going to come. I mean, Talladega, I was right there. Texas, I was right there. I mean, I had the lead in Texas before, and then we pitted. I cycled back to fifth or something, and I was involved in that wreck. So the finishes are going to come. The main threats to win are the ones that finish 1-2. I mean, you got to beat Rickard and you got to beat Diego. It's hard to beat them unless they donk.
Yeah, it really does seem like they're starting to hit their form. But Kevin, I mean, with this win, with this third place finish, it seems like the win is going to come at some point. But before we let you go, Kevin, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Twitch is Rutgers Kev, and YouTube is the warm up lap. And we got chatters right now, and they're watching the broadcast. So shout out to my chatters like Mosside, and shout out to my team, Track Autosports. And good luck to everyone. 24 Hours of Daytona this weekend. I know I'm really looking forward to it.
I know we are also freaky fast excited for that 24-hour race as well. Well, that is going to be the 23 machine of Kevin O'Keefe. Congratulations on third, and good luck at Sonoma next week.
Thank you.
Well, as we go from our third place finisher and our spotlight driver of the night, what a wild finish that was with the last wreck that came up. An absolute spectacular finish where Scott Ricker and Diego Valle side by side to finish this thing out. As we take a look at our unofficial results, this race was an up and down kind of adventure. We saw a green flag pit stop, a late caution that kind of shook everything up, giving some drivers second breath of air, others miserable finishes. But this is how they finished out coming across the line. Scott Rickard going to get that win. Diego Valle going to get second by 7/100 of a second. Kevin O'Keefe's going to get third, with Joshua Robinson going to get fourth. Dylan Glass fifth. The one machine of Nate Lynch come away with sixth. That of Christopher Wade gets seventh. Thomas Ogle eighth. Ninth goes to Aaron Hale, who was struggling for most of the night, was our second biggest mover of the whole entire field. And Andrew Medlin coming away with the top 10.
And I got to give a shout out to the last guy you spoke of, Andrew Medlin. I mean, he was involved in that wreck there at the very end of the race, spun around 360 and restarted 15th and got himself back into the top 10. So that was a heck of a job from him there to salvage a night that could have been better, but he got back to it. And, there's some other drivers who I think, Andrew Hess, I think that's the big one that looks to me is if that caution didn't come out, what could have been for him back in 24th, him and Ross Tatum involved in that last incident to come on that back straightaway. You got to feel for that guy, man, because it is definitely was looking to go his way. He had such good pace all night. It was going to be a battle between him and Diego if it stayed green. But that unfortunate caution from Brandon Messick is the one that really came back to bite him.
Yeah, I mean, that caution, it was just one of those things, watching the drivers bring out the way that these races can finish out sometimes. And some of these late yellows can change up everything as your unofficial results. And saw it coming across the screen, huge thing to that of Gamers to Give, as well as we want to shout out ourselves. If you want to help support us at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, well, the best way that you can is buying our merch, as we've got ourselves hoodies, t-shirts, and more, in plenty of sizes and different colors that you can switch through. Go check out our merch store today to help us out at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. But Zach, what a race we got to see here tonight. We heard Kevin O'Keefe bring it up, the 24 hours of Daytona. We've got that in just a couple of days.
That we do, man. It's going to be interesting. That 24 hours of Daytona is going to be super fun. We know that my team, Category 5 Esports, is going to be taking part on it, and luckily enough, Freaky Fast Broadcasting is going to be broadcasting it here. So I can't wait for it. It's going to be. I'm nervous and excited at the same time. That's what you always get going into those 24 hours, is because you never know. You're going into the unknown of 24 hours of just straight racing with, multiple different teammates hopping in the car with different, skill and pace levels. So it's going to be one to watch for sure. I hope people out there tune in and get to enjoy it and get to hear some of the insight from you and Robert, and also from some of the drivers on my team at Category 5. I think we'll be able to have a great time and a good celebration of probably one of the most prolific special events in all of sim racing, in my opinion. With so many different special events going out there, I think Daytona takes the cake for that top dog for a lot of people out there.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest events that iRacing puts on, the 24 hours of Daytona, and drivers have been practicing for months to be prepared for this. And like Zach said, we are going to be covering here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting the Category 5 Esports for the full 24 hours. And this is going to be such a big adventure for us up in the booth, as we get to have that. We get to see the fun and the joys. You can check out in the middle of the night, middle of the day, see what's going on track, and see how the team is racing. That will be our next coverage. That will be starting early on Saturday, as those live streams have already been set up for you to pre-schedule. If you are not subscribed, subscribe. Go hit the bell notification, and also you can notify yourself when those streams go live and which part of the race you'd like to go watch for yourself. But for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we've got plenty of other coverage. After Saturday is done, we'll take Sunday off, and we're right back to our original schedule of 4 races in a row. Monday, it's the ISRC Truck Series. Tuesday, it is that of the Full Send Racing Series in the Xfinity car. Wednesday's Next Gen Cup Cars, and for that of the Wicked Racing League. And then Thursday, we're right back here, and we're heading to road course racing. We've got a couple of road courses that are going to be happening next week, so get yourself ready for some popcorn. Cars going left, right, and will they stay straight? We will find out next week. Thank you for watching here tonight. And Zach, before we end the night, any final calls from you?
Well, first off, shout out to this group here, man. I mean, what an excellent race it was here tonight at Michigan. It was so fun to call. I just love the fact that they just keep bringing in new rookies that spice it up. And then you got a veteran like Scott Rickard coming off probably one of his most downbeat seasons, I believe, as a driver last year. Last year in that next gen car just didn't click for him. The Gen 6, he said the same thing, just wasn't there. He's come back in, I mean, absolute fashion here and been so amazing at the end of these races. I can't wait to see how it all just builds up for the rest of the season. And man, I got the nervous energy heading into their next couple races because it's going to be a special one to watch for each of these folks out there.
And these next couple of races are going to be great ones that you want to check out. We're heading to Sonoma for our first road course of the season. Then Homestead, Miami, that always brings out a great show. And Dover. Gonna be chaos on how the drivers get to handle so many different aspects of racing, and all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. But for tonight, thank you for joining us on your Thursday evening. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, Robert Moyer running productions in the background, and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll be seeing you on Saturday at some point. And if we don't, we'll see you at some point next week, as we've got that of the ISRC Truck Series on Monday again. But for us here, Thursdays, road course racing for Stars and Stripes. We'll see you at our next broadcast.